The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning to you. It is 5 a.m. on a finally Friday morning. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Chris Burton, who is in this morning for Alex Fisher.
We bring you now to that breaking news this morning out of Japan. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot at a campaign speech. Abe was at the beginning of that speech last night at 7:30 p.m. our time, when gunfire rang out. He was hit and quickly rushed to Nara Medical University Hospital after suffering cardio and pulmonary arrest. He was unresponsive when he arrived to the hospital, and efforts to resuscitate him failed. The hospital announced his death several hours later during a press conference. They say he was shot twice in his neck, and the wounds reached his heart, causing heavily damaged arteries. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he was a catalyst in bringing the U.S. and Japan closer together.
Mr. Abe was an extraordinary partner and someone who clearly was a great leader for Japan, for the Japanese people, but also so admired as a global leader, and one who really during his time in office brought the relationship between our countries, the United States and Japan, to new heights.
Abe had been campaigning for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party for a national election to be held on Sunday when he was shot. He served in the office longer than anyone before stepping down in 2020 due to health reasons. Officials have apprehended a male in his 40s they believe to be involved in the shooting. Shinzo Abe was 67 years old.
Your time now is 5:03, and also breaking this morning, President Joe Biden will sign an executive order today to protect access to abortion as part of his administration's response to the Supreme Court's ruling last month overturning Roe v. Wade. The order aims to protect access to reproductive health care services such as abortion and contraceptives, protect patients' privacy and access to private information, and promote the safety and security of patients, providers, and clinics, according to a release from the White House. The order comes as a growing number of states adopt laws to restrict abortion services. It also authorizes the creation of an interagency task force coordinating federal policymaking and programs. Biden also said, quote, "This decision must not be the final word," in regards to his administration's response. Back here at home, a gruesome crash in northwest Bakersfield left several people injured and some seriously. Take a look at the aftermath. The sedan and pickup truck both virtually unrecognizable. It happened just before 2:30 yesterday afternoon on Brimhall Road near Nord Avenue. Kern County Fire tells 17 News 2 patients had to be rescued using the jaws of life. They were taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Another person suffered injuries not considered life-threatening. No word yet on how the two vehicles collided or who was at fault.
5:05 your time now, and from our 17 follow-up file, the search for two men who were swept away in the Kern River on the 4th of July has come to a tragic end. The Kern County Sheriff's Office says the bodies of 19-year-old Samuel Raimundo and 27-year-old Diego Cabo were found yesterday morning near Hobo Campground. It's a little less than 2 miles downstream of where the men were first reported missing. Witnesses say a group was trying to cross the river near Remington Hot Springs around 12:30 Monday afternoon when the two men were swept away by the current. Family members tell 17 News that Raimundo and Cabo were from Guatemala and lived in San Fernando.
And the Kern County Sheriff's Office is asking for help finding a teenage girl who has been missing for more than a week. This is a photo of 15-year-old Courtney Melise Wilson. She was last seen by her family on June 27th. Melise Wilson is described as 5'5", weighing 120 pounds. She has a Playboy bunny tattoo on her right hand. Anyone with information on where she may be is asked to call KCSO at 861-3110, or you can remain anonymous and call 322-4040.
Now to one of our signature issues here at KGET, Kern's sober reality. The Bakersfield Police Department is cracking down on impaired drivers during a DUI and driver's license checkpoint tonight. BPD says the checkpoint will be held within the city limits between the hours of 6 p.m. tonight and 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Research shows that crashes involving an impaired driver can be reduced by up to 20% when well-publicized DUI checkpoints are held routinely.
A Tulare police officer is under arrest and facing charges after officials say he was found drunk on duty. Officials say Officer Francisco Garcia had a blood alcohol content more than twice the legal limit. Medeiros Babb with our sister station in Fresno has the story.
It was a concerned citizen from Fresno that was visiting Tulare that walked into the police headquarters to make the initial complaint. Now, the chief does believe that Officer Garcia was drinking on the clock. An internal investigation underway inside of the Tulare Police Department as 34-year-old Officer Francisco Garcia awaits his day in court for several DUI charges.
This does not fit and has no place in the Tulare PD culture, and I will hold all my staff accountable for any misconduct.
According to newly appointed Chief Fred Inklin, Officer Garcia clocked in for work at 6 a.m. on June 23rd. Around 2:30 and halfway through Garcia's shift, the chief says a concerned citizen walked into the lobby and reported Garcia passed out in a patrol car. Finding it hard to pinpoint the officer's location, the chief says Garcia was called back to headquarters. When he arrived, a supervisor immediately smelled alcohol.
It was a surprise to us finding that.
The supervisor called the California Highway Patrol to investigate, and later the chief says a blood sample revealed Garcia's BAC was 0.18. According to a Notre Dame study, a man weighing 180 pounds would have to drink 7 beers in an hour to get to a BAC of 0.17.
But I have a strong feeling that this is probably occurring on duty.
CHP arrested and cited Garcia. Garcia was not booked into the jail and was released. The department has placed Garcia on paid administrative leave. All of Garcia's previous calls in the day are under investigation, and while the chief says this is an unfortunate incident, he believes it's isolated.
I fully believe that officers need to be held to a high standard, the highest standard in my opinion. But also please know we are human and we have everyday problems just like everyone else.
The police department is not releasing a photo of Officer Garcia. He has worked for several different law agencies, including right here at the Tulare Police Department for the past 2.5 years. He will be seen in court in August.
Medeiros Babb reporting. The House committee investigating the January 6th attack plans to hear from a crucial witness today, former President Trump's White House lawyer Pat Cipollone. Previously, he resisted cooperating with the committee. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with the latest.
My name is Pat Cipollone.
Former Trump White House counsel Pat Cipollone expected to testify behind closed doors, taking the hot seat amid increasing pressure from the January 6th committee.
But we think the American people deserve to hear from Mr. Cipollone personally.
Previously, Cipollone met with committee investigators in April for an informal interview. This latest appearance comes after the panel issued a subpoena citing a specific interest in evidence that Mr. Cipollone repeatedly raised legal and other concerns about Mr. Trump's activities leading up to and on January 6th. And it follows bombshell testimony from former Trump White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson.
Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
The former White House lawyer's testimony is considered critical to the committee's investigation and to the U.S. Capitol attack.
He was present at some of the key moments that we've already learned about from others who were in the room, the efforts to get the Justice Department to issue a bogus letter.
Panel members suggest he could be a missing link with key information about the former president's actions that day and efforts to call off the rioters. The next public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday. Committee members say the focus will be on the mob who stormed the Capitol, including far-right extremist groups. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson for NBC News.
5:32 your time now, tracking the coronavirus. New concerns this morning as cases of COVID-19 are on the rise again in at least 20 states, including California. That increase likely fueled by a highly contagious Omicron subvariant. Karma Dickerson has our report from Sacramento.
COVID-19 is making another comeback with the help of 2 new Omicron variants, BA4 and BA5. California's test positivity rate 10 times as high as it was in April, growing from 1.5 to 15%. The most notable thing about the variants, according to experts,
they're able to evade previous immunity.
So vaccinated people are at risk of infection, as are people who recently had COVID.
The wall of immunity that we thought we built up with the large Omicron wave in January has essentially crumbled because the virus has mutated.
More than half of California counties, the ones you see here in orange, meet the CDC definition of high COVID-19 community levels. Yellow is medium, and just 3 are low, shown in green. The good news is infections from the new variants are mostly mild, according to health experts, especially for people who are vaccinated. Still, infectious disease specialist Dr. Dean Blumberg with UC Davis says repeatedly contracting COVID can take its toll.
There's emerging research that suggests with each repeat infection, there are complications, other complications that may occur, such as strokes, heart attacks, and other long-term complications. And so it is still good to try to avoid those infections.
In Yolo County, where case rates are tied with Solano for 5th highest in the state, health officer Dr. Amy Sisson says BA4 and 5 variants account for more than 50% of coronavirus cases. Wastewater levels show COVID community levels as high as they were during the winter surge. Still, hospitalization numbers remain relatively low. Dr. Sisson believes that's due in part to available treatment.
If you're 50 and older or you have an underlying condition that puts you at high risk of severe disease, then strongly recommend you talk to your doctor.
As for what's to come, how long do we have to keep being hypervigilant?
I think it's hard to predict. I think within a year or two is what I would expect is we're going to be in that place.
That was Karma Dickerson reporting. And now making headlines across the nation, 2 communities have been mourning the death of a 6-year-old girl who was killed at a 4th of July parade in Manden, North Dakota. 6-year-old Mabel Aske is from Ventura, but was visiting relatives in North Dakota for the holiday.
She was riding on a float headed to the stage when she fell and was run over. Erica Craven has more about the incident and what people here are doing to help the family.
For many in Manden, this typically joyful parade will now be associated with tragedy.
When officers arrived, they were able to see that there was a child who was severely injured.
Mabel had been riding on the DK Orthodontics float when she fell. On a Facebook post, the clinic stated they'll be, quote, honoring and showing respect to the family during this unspeakable tragedy by showing them love and support. Hundreds of people posted messages of support online, like her name was Mabel. She was the most incredible, beautiful, independent child. Her kindergarten teacher says she was special.
Mabel was the one that I would call if there was a stray insect or bug or something in the classroom because she wanted to rescue them all.
The church where Mabel's family attends also spoke of the loss.
I think the outpouring of community support has been incredible, and it's a testament to how much the Askes not only mean to this city, but to other places they've traveled, in North Dakota where they have family, and in Montana.
Monday, the parade went on as scheduled, but now many wonder how to prevent a tragedy like this from happening again.
In the time that I've been here, we have never had anyone killed, either on the way to the parade or at the parade. There's been some minor injuries, but never anything this serious.
Manden police have not elaborated on specifics of how the incident unfolded. In the meantime, North Dakota and California communities are coming together for Mabel's family.
Mabel has taught me that love freely given doesn't cost anything.
We need one another more than ever, and just hug somebody, find a friend to have coffee with.
The PTA in Mabel School District is planning a vigil.
And a GoFundMe was started on behalf of Mabel's family with a goal of $10,000. As you can see, over $75,000 has been raised already for the family. More is still coming in. If you'd like to donate, you can visit the website on the bottom of your screen. All proceeds will go directly to the family.
5:37 your time now, and taking you around town, the Boys and Girls Club of Kern County will present their summer production at the Stars Theater for the next 2 weekends. The club will perform the musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, a biblical story about Joseph and his coat of many colors. Choreographer Jordan Payne says that most of the children either have not been on the stage for a while because of the pandemic, or it's their first time. Payne says audience members can expect a fun and joyous-like extravagant show.
It's so amazing seeing, whether the parents, force them to be in it. Hey, come do this, it'll be fun. And they're like, no. And then after, they're like, I want to do more. Just being able to be a part of that process where they finally find, a passion that they really love. It's really cool. Yeah.
To purchase tickets for the show, you can visit our website, kget.com.
5:38 is your time now, and Kern County's Black Chamber of Commerce is bringing back the Midwest Invitational Black Rodeo for a one-night stand in Bakersfield tonight.
Hello, Bakersfield!
African-American rodeo athletes from across the country and right here at home will compete in 5 traditional rodeo events. Organizers say the Bakersfield Black Rodeo is fun and exciting for the entire family and is rated EEE. It's educational, entertaining, and for everyone. Tickets are on sale for $15 online or $20 at the gate. Kids under 3 get in free. Gates open at 6 and the rodeo starts at 8 p.m. We took our kids for the first time to the rodeo for 4th of July, and they got a kick out of it, especially the rodeo clown. I forgot how funny those guys are, and they loved it.
I actually went to my first rodeo at last year's fair.
Oh, cool.
I had never been to one, and it was a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah. It's a kick, so go check it out. Again, that is happening tonight at 6 p.m. Also happening today, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is inviting you to come out and have coffee with a cop.
Yeah, it starts at 10 a.m. today, goes until 12 noon. You can grab your coffee just west of Bakersfield at the Chevron located at 22520 Sitting Road. That address on your screen.
And happening this weekend, the Bakersfield Oilers Special Needs Hockey Club will host the first ever California Meltdown Special Needs Hockey Jamboree. It's happening Saturday at Valley Children's Ice Center, 3:30 in the afternoon, and will feature 5 special needs hockey teams from across the state. Entrance is free. Attendees are encouraged to root for the athletes as they compete on the ice.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.